So, welcome everybody. It's great to be here again. Really again, because I think it's the third time that we talk about. Thomas, unfortunately, is not here, but I'd love to mention his name. Somebody has to work back at home. Not enjoying the fun of California, but he's hopefully asleep as we speak. So Hans-Joerg and myself, we will run the show today. We keep it very brief to take questions at the end. We will be done after 30 minutes. So could you please?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Look at the... Actually, these were the days when we were here. They were all shiny. We had demos. It looked all bright. We had internally, we had our management there, and everybody was, felt so in love about those pictures. I mean, especially here, the engine. Somebody talked to me, yeah, you are the one with the engine. At the time, I didn't know what's inside the engine, though. But now we are here, actually, in a very sorrow state, because the fun is over. We are in full implementation mode. And this is not fun. Discovering bugs on a daily basis, getting angry, so my hair grows gray on a daily basis. But this is where we actually are. So you have seen those many incarnations. But I wanted to, in a recap, also talk about, once again, why do we do this stuff? And I think this is much more important than anything else, the why question. It's the mission statement in the bluish color. This is something that we actually derived or stated for us 3 years ago. So cost efficiency, lean to operate, scalability. I think that's the most important thing to deliver the gigabit product to our customers. What we learned on our journey, it's not just that it's cool technology, but it's in fact a big IT project which we use. We use IT means to solve networking problems. And with those IT means, where we are not quite experts, I would say, because we learn it on a daily basis, we discover many things that are beneficial to us. I mean, if you've paid attention to the presentation from Telekom earlier before, I mean, you've seen the same things. CI/CD, getting changes in the network very quickly. Really working in a DevOps mode, not waterfall, like with the black boxes. These are windfall profits, I would say, that we theoretically knew when we started off, but now we know for good that this could actually happen. Most of the stuff, again, is still true, especially saving money. This has been our life assurance all the time. Yeah. So when we talk to our financial people, it's always important to have the case at hand and to say, okay, what we are doing makes sense for the company. At the end, it's not about having a cool R&D project, but to make sense for the overall company. And I think the rest I leave for you to read, because we used the similar slide already previously. So where are we right now? We are working together with an IT service company called Reply, and we are working in a full agile mode. However, we have program increments or releases, how we go along. We decided in a little contest that we go for ice cream flavors, so cookie dough, dark cherry, eggnog, French vanilla. This is how we go from A, B, C, D to hopefully not too many letters at the end. The hope, though, is that until French vanilla, we will be done. So we'll see how we get there. So currently, as we speak, people hopefully work on dark cherry back home. What do? Yes, it's about the CI/CD pipe at the end. Yeah, we want to do this. I mean, build our own software. Write a change in the code, build it, test it automatically. All this needs to be set up. It has been invented already. We're not the first ones doing it. However, doing it for real and doing it carrier grade is still an effort. And I'm not going to run you through all the details in here, because this is something that you can read for yourself. I just wanted to highlight things, like I said, the full integration, in and outbound management. Yeah, this is really for a network. Quality of service, because in our scope, the BNG is part of it. Yeah, it's not the OLT and the access only, but it's also the IP access. With ECNOC, towards Christmas, we want to implement and have FTTH and FTTB fully ready. With a partial lawful intercept support, we really want to have the full information model, full inventory, everything you need also to operate your network. And towards French vanilla in March Q1 and Q1, it should all be ready, hardened, so that we can even apply monkey tests. I really want to have my management back and say, okay, now you can pull the cable off that server and see nothing happens. Plug it in again, server boots up, 5 minutes later, it's up and running in our Kubernetes network. So this is where we are, and hopefully, and this is what we've promised so far in all the presentations, I'm really proud that we can stick to it. Q4 2020, we want to see the launch, the takeoff of our little Access4.0 rocket. However, in Germany, separation between network technology and OSSIT, our friends from the OSSIT, we will have the marriage of our, as we go along, of our both stacks, the OSS and the NT stack, during the course of 2020. So that's why the small box alludes to that. All right. So this is inside. Sorry, one step back. I want to talk about what's inside. This picture has been shown already. We want to use it to power first and foremost FTTH and FTTB from the beginning. The FTTC use case is coming at a later point of time. And I want to explain today, and I will ask Hans-Joerg to help me on that because he's the technician. I'm just doing the marketing and the project management, to explain what we do inside. Again, we have the BNG there, and we use the merchant silicon that is in our data path to do the full BNG. So the leaf switch is in fact our BRAS, the service edge. The spine switch will be our label edge router, and this is how we serve our customers and give them access to the IP world. We all use merchant silicon along, and we have a slide later on where we explain what is inside the boxes and whom we partner with. We have this hardware-software split. I mean, this is all about disaggregation. We work closely in the community. I'm not going to repeat how we also contribute. We have both roles, yeah? First of all and foremost, we are a contributor to the community, but we are also a consumer. That's good, so. Right. I think, Hans-Joerg, would you want to take over and explain a bit how we run the stack from north to south?
Yeah, I can do that, yeah. So, hello again. This is a look into our management system that we are currently developing together with our partners Reply and RT Brick. You all have seen pictures like this, right? Like there's OSS, BSS, then there's the guys that run operations and work with the GUI to configure, plan something. And then the trick is in IT, the fun in IT is always in between the systems, right? It's like where all the consultants make money. So we had in parallel to when we started A4 and started thinking about how to build this management system, there was already a project ongoing in Deutsche Telekom called NEMO, and it's a German abbreviation. So it's
don't ask me what it means right now.
There's this fish that has the same name, but and those were the guys that were working on OSS, BSS, and the interfaces on a daily basis. And who knows better how to build it than they? So they said we need to have this abstraction layer here. But they had the ideas, but they didn't have the incarnation of it. So we said, okay, let's team up with these guys and integrate them to our team and build this. For the EMS, we had in parallel already developed a core EMS, a backend system, and that also includes an API. And the yellow marked stuff here is something we intend to make available to the community. So this is our way of how we think we should build the EMS. How we are building it, it includes the APIs, and we are currently developing the OSS IT adapters. Yesterday we said we are working in agile teams. I said 9, that's not true, we are 10. There's an IT team in Berlin that is working on this, fully integrated into the project. This will be released on a website called leitstand.io. If you go there now, you will just see, hello, welcome to leitstand.io, and there's not more on it. We plan to make it available there. Now, the idea behind that is we make it available, we want the community to look at it, and then we would appreciate feedback. That could be like, wrong way, good idea, but I do it differently, or let's team up. If there's sufficient feedback in a sense that let's work on this together, that could be the nucleus of a new open source community thing. But if it turns out this is too specific, or if you say this is not my cup of tea, then it's no use. Community only works if everybody's interested in this who's working on that. So
we are not the only ones using it, by the way. There's another German carrier using it already. Yeah.
Now you're pushing the button. Wrong button, Robert.
I can't do it.
Ask Sean. You can't do it.
I can.
Oh my God.
I've been here before. Sean knows.
This is how we have our work split. He's the technician.
Technician sounds like the guy who is repairing your central heating. I can't do that. I have a PhD in physics. I'm totally incapable of doing that. Okay, let me see. Yeah, I stop here with the jokes. Let's do something serious. No, my kids are watching the videos on YouTube and they say it's boring. So maybe now they find something to laugh at. More serious. This is a high-level overview on how our software architecture looks like, and I think it is kind of stable, but it can still evolve from here. We have centralized EMS, as everybody has. That will be run in multiple sites in Germany, maybe 2-3 sites. And then we run the counterpart of that in each of the pods. And we have coined this term called the Las Vegas principle, and I think probably everybody knows what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, so what happens in the pod stays in the pod. What we mean by that is if the pod makes an autonomous decision on doing an upgrade of the switch at this point in time, it just does it. Or if the SDN controller decides to reroute a flow, the centralized location shall not bother. It sounds like micromanagement in HR, right? You don't want to know about the details what your team is doing. This is all we talk about in transformation, empowering teams to do stuff on their own. We are empowering also the pods to do something on their own. And we remove the dependencies. The pods can decide on their own to do something without having to query a centralized system that anyway doesn't know what's the better thing to do. Now, so there's the central EMS. There is an API to the lifecycle management, which is basically making sure that the Kubernetes instances are patched, are up to date. So we're not controlling the containers from a central site, because that would be a lot of containers, and there's no benefit from doing that. It's just let's push this decision out to the decentralized pod. On the other side, there's an API. There's a tool called Kong. I've never looked at it, but the guys that work on that say this is the right thing to do. This provides you the interfaces to the pod API. The pod API is the central API where you can issue your commands to. And then we have the pod actors, and they will do something based on the API commands that came in. The pod API, again, is nothing that we intend to keep secret. In SIBA, there's an activity on working out an API, the NEM it is, right, Tom? Looking at Asim saying, yes, Tom is undecided, it's NEM, right? We want to bring our input to that to make this hopefully also a community effort. And then inside, there's 2 big blocks. One is Volta, and there has been so many talks about Volta, so I'm going to skip that. I look at this. You can all. I can only make a fool out of myself in explaining Volta here. But then there's the SDN control framework, and there will be a talk from Fabian and Tom soon on SDN, so I'm only touching that on a high level. These both are implemented as microservices, as Docker containers managed by Kubernetes, and they communicate with each other. So how do they communicate? Last time I gave a presentation on this, I said Kafka. Now I'm not that convinced anymore, because message bus is cool, but we're currently looking into NEM as an alternative. So if there's somebody here in the room who says, I have an opinion on that, let us know. The SDN framework that we are developing is a set of small, tiny microservices. They're interconnected over a bus. The good thing about that is actually when I talked to the guy who had been doing the first prototype of our SDN steering logic, it was all written in Java, and he's a funny guy. He made also a lot of jokes in the source code, and I had to ask him, hello Wolfgang, by the way, if you're watching this video later on, it's like really, I had to take that out. And then I explained to him the message bus, that the routing, the interconnection between the services is something you just get out of the box from the message bus. And then he said like, yeah, but then my code is like this. And I said, yes, this is exactly how it should be. The business logic of the SDN steering here is implemented in microservice, and they should in principle be a few lines of code. So whatever you change there is immediately visible. So it's, I'm not talking about formal verification here, but it's like you really see what it's been doing or what it will be doing. I hope Fabian later on says the same about this. Okay, no, that's one of the design goals. And for sure, these you have an exact slide on that. Excellent. So those are these microservices, and I think I've seen it. And then there's interfaces to systems that are outside the POD, and this is being implemented via some proxy. So here's the handover point to wholesale partners. Here's the service edge that I explained previously, the fabric steering the flows. This is implemented with an RT-Brick routing software. The LI box is a lawful intercept thing that's being developed by our partner BISDN, and service control here. And then also we have logging, we use FluentD, and I forgot all the tools. So we're also collecting the data here and pushing it back to the central sites. I think so much about the overview here. If I missed something.
Well, in total, perhaps two remarks. Yeah, in total, I think we have something like 40, 50 open source components in here. I don't think that we have any, apart from the service edge, anything proprietary in here. The SDN control, however, is DT property, but we know the code. And it's all designed that we can swap with the least effort one component to the other. So if there's a new database or a new message bus coming up that fulfills our needs even better, we will be able to swap. This is a design principle that we want to adhere. That's why we contracted an IT company to do so. Right. Now I give it a try and I'll make it. Yeah, but please join in, because you're the chief product owner of 10 teams, and we are undergoing a transformation as well. So technology is a cool thing, and we probably could have contracted, one of those big companies doing it for us, but we also want to get transformed as well. And there are some lessons learned which I'd love to share with you, because it's not only technology. Really, working in Agile is something where we still here and there stumble, and there is resistance. Yeah, having 2-week sprints, having all the transparency, understanding the new roles. Yeah, and this is really something where we undergo an immense change right now. It took us probably only 3 months alone to get there, really to get into the rhythm. And now we have those 2-week sprints, 6 sprints leading us to a release, to the ice cream flavors, which we mentioned earlier before. And now we see really that it pays off. That is the good thing. All the effort, I think, was worthwhile. The transparency is really great, but I wouldn't want to go back. Number one. Be strict. We had in this very room yesterday a discussion about implementation guidelines, if you commit code, what do you do? Do you have to have test cases at all? We have a software implementation architecture which laid out the building blocks, the 40, 50 open source components which I'd mentioned earlier before. There is a tendency in the teams to change because they know something better. No, it is really about saying, okay, that's the way it is, unless you give me better reason, stick to it, and we enforce it. Especially with code quality, this is really important, because we do not want to have a machine that we delivered in time but which is crap. This is really built to last, and we want to amend it as we go along, even beyond 2020. The code maintainers, since we work together really closely with our partner, we are about 100 people or even more right now. We closely work together. Code maintainers, however, is a role that DT people assume. So we are the ones that check the code before it goes to the main branch. And one recommendation I'd love to give to you is do not, just for the sake of it, accept the code that third parties deliver to you because we want to get done. Really test the code and raise your hands if it doesn't fulfill the qualities. However, I just see Mike at the end of the floor. He probably wishes that we could clone him 5-6 times because code maintainers are really in high demand these days to have the skill and to really check what your supplier delivers to you, your co-development partner. Number 4, I mentioned this is a big IT project right now. We started it off as an NT project, but it's IT at the end, but we solve an NT problem. What I think is good, and if you as a carrier want to venture out in a similar way, employ people who do know IT. You need to have those superheroes. They are not cheap, but you need to have those superheroes who can teach the network engineers to do IT. You need to have this nucleus. I'm totally convinced. True IT people. And 5 and 6, transformation also means, that you need people who teach you all those methods. We really asked also the company Reply to give us coaching, really talk to people. At the end, it's mostly about communication, I would say. And we fail all the time, also in the community, and then we have to get up and do it better next time. But at the end, it's mainly about talking to one another, and coaches can really help in mediating. Select the right partners in here. I think we have taken with Reply the right choice. Again, communication, it's mainly German, Italian, English-speaking companies, so communication is easier for us. Do not underestimate this. That's why I think we have chosen the right partner to take on this transformation for us. Be picky. Do not take the cheapest company. One recommendation. One more slide. Yeah, our ecosystem. Hans-Joerg, do you want to jump in?
Okay, I can do that. I could start with the one we forgot to put on the slide. But as Robert said, first of all, we are doing the overall project with a development partner that is Reply. And we're working really nicely in an open manner together, and I really like that. Then coming to the more specific stuff here, and first of all, this is not the final list for the next 100 years of Deutsche Telekom deploying access networks. This is the companies we decided to start with and work together with, and we will build this. But it is always open for others to come in. And as I said in my talk about the service edge, it's like we have put APIs in multiple places to be able to reconsider, have we chosen the best technology? Is there something new? And we will inspect and adapt, as my boss always says. So we have RT-Brick for the routing software at the moment. We do collaborate a lot with EdgeCore Networks and Delta. EdgeCore is, we have built the Magenta OLT, which on this slide is black, but we also have magenta versions of that. So we have built based on work done by Paul Wagner at the OCP. So Paul and team, Björn is probably also here. We have designed an OLT and we have built it together with EdgeCore, and now we're bringing it into production. We're adapting the Volta drivers. And
I think I've seen the OLT in the other room where the demos are. So
magenta
have a look.
One?
No, the black one.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I think from a functionality standpoint, it doesn't matter. Now, service from at the moment Hewlett-Packard. We work a lot with Intel on the servers, but also on the LI box. And here comes the logo that's missing. That's BISDN. We're developing a very nice box that does the IPsec encryption. Our top of the rack switches are currently equipped with Broadcom silicon. And at the moment, I put a forward reference. We have designed a switch for top of the rack switch together with Delta, and the details will be revealed at the OCP summit in Amsterdam. And I'm not going to steal the thunder from that show.
2 weeks from now. Please be patient.
Okay. Yeah. And it's based on Jericho 2. Then we have Adran for the DPUs. And on the software side, we do collaborate a lot with Redisys on making Volta happening, and also with Infosys. And finally, what's this logo? That's ONF, the community. The community is super important to us. It's really super important to us. So whenever we give a talk here, and we give a lot of talk, and I like to talk, you know that, whenever you spot something here where you think, wrong way, Hans, this looks nice on slides, but then tell us. Let's work together in the community to shape this thing. I get something?
No, I think it's complete. I think, let me check this. Yeah, just really quickly information, we, as DT, we believe in the community work. That's why you can find lots of talks. Some were already in the past, but I want to highlight there's this keynote of our boss tomorrow, Jochen Appel, board member. Looking forward to that. But also Fabian here in the same room. And the rest, the panel discussion. The rest is actually from the past, but have a look, check out the website, the videos, if you are interested in. So this is just really an overview of the menu that we were offering as DT, as our contribution to the community. Yeah, we're part of the community, but also consumers. So now I shut up, and I'll love to take questions.
I know, Robert, I've heard you say this a couple of times, and I have two questions, one for you and one for him.
42. Sorry.
The first question is, you say IT versus NT. And I want to make sure that in the context of how I think about it, are you saying software versus hardware? Are you thinking software as in distributed computing versus more?
No, the NT people tick differently.
Okay.
The IT people tick differently, and I mean, even though they all hack and work on CLIs, but there's different beasts, and we want to reap the benefits of the large-scale web service providers, and these are IT companies, and that's why I think it was right to bring in an IT company helping us in that change, because we teach them network, in fact. They do not know how to do network,
okay.
not
so
many people at least.
When you say IT, I think you're saying, at least what I hear is software development organizations who are not necessarily network experts,
exactly,
but are experts in building complex software systems.
It's our domain. I mean, an automotive supplier probably has also IT problems, but they've got the domain knowledge. Okay. We have got the domain knowledge of networking.
All right. So then going back to a question for you, Hans-Joerg, going back a couple of slides where you had that yellow block, if I heard you say right, that you are using Volta, obviously from the community and based on open source. The yellow ones are your proprietary built-in software. Is that correct? The SDN control and the EMS are both your kind of currently developed internally?
Yeah, at the moment this is proprietary, but there will be a presentation showing a bit more what's inside, and depending on feedback from the community, we can open up things, and but it needs to make sense.
So obviously I'll ask questions at that time about what is inside SDN control, but how do you control Volta today? Because Volta in the community is being built obviously with ONOS as the SDN controller. Mm-hmm. So every time there's a release out, do you have to strip out stuff which Volta is controlled through ONOS, and then you have to redo that again with your SDN controller?
Fabian, I see you.
So, quick point on that one. For us, basically, we do use ONOS still as an interface for Volta to provide their services or the PON services that we need to provide to the SDN control. So for the time being, ONOS is still in it.
Oh, I see.
But we really only use it for controlling the PON part. So, and you'll see more on that in a few minutes when, or
as long as at least Volta is not being touched in that sense, because ONOS is still interfacing with it. That is much easier. Okay.
But if we can get rid of ONOS, we wouldn't mind.
Or get rid of the yellow box. You should be on cheap. It should be even better.
And one of the goals for Volta project is become SDN controller independent. So that's one of the final goal. As a product owner for Volta. Any other question? We have maybe one more minute. Any other questions? Okay. Well, Hans-Joerg and Robert, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
And next talks from NTT, Koda-san.